In today's video, I'm going to share with you the 4 techniques that completely transformed my mixing game. These are the secrets that took my tracks from flat and lifeless to dynamic and exciting. And if you're ready to take your mixing skills to the next level, then stick around because this is going to be a game changer for you. Number 1 was fix the phase. Phase relationships matter, especially with low-end elements like kick and bass. So let's say that you're making a beat and you want to add a second kick and make it hit harder. Sometimes the 2 kicks will not be perfectly in phase, leading to phase cancellation, resulting in a less punchy, hollow sound with a reduced low end. So let's discuss, why is phase important in the low end? Why do you want to treat this and phase align these 2 elements like the kick? Because low frequencies have longer wavelengths, making phase alignment super crucial. If your kick and your bass are out of phase, they can cancel each other out, resulting in a weak, less punchy, and a muddy low end. Now, how did we identify these phase problems? I listened for a loss of low end punch or a hollow sound when combining multiple low end elements like the kick. If your mix sounds weaker with both elements playing together compared to how they sound playing individually, like if one kick hits hard and you combine the second kick with it and now it kind of sounds hollow and just less impact, you likely have some phase problems. Another approach here is to add a plugin with a polarity button. And when you have the kicks playing together, if it sounds hollow, like I described, then you probably got some phase problems. If you hit that phase button and all of a sudden, now the kicks come to life, they sound punchier, you get more low end, well, that's going to be the way to go. Keep that phase switch enabled, because now you just help the phase relationships of the 2 low end elements sound better together by flipping the phase. And to further improve the phase relationship, use a tool like Auto Align, which could result in a tighter and punchier sound. I have a video demonstration going over just how amazing that plugin is and what it did for my mix. I'll link that video in the description below. So whether you have multiple kicks, multiple snares, a kick and an 808, or even hi-hats and guitars, anything really, doubled or playing on top of each other, you can have the phase relationships improved. Number 2 is reducing the low end. Now, this might sound counterintuitive in hip hop, because hip hop is supposed to have like a massive low end. True, but we want to get a little bit more control over that low end. When a kick drum hits the speaker with too much 30, 40, or 60 hertz combined with the bass, it tends to overload the speaker and distort or pop in a really nasty way. By high passing the kick up to 60 or 80 hertz, you get some of that low end depending on the slope of the filter, but you really carve out a space for the bass to fit in that sub range. And this is where the kick hits you in the chest, anywhere from 60 to 100 hertz or even more. Then on the bass, you can either let it live as it is if there's enough sub bass energy, or you can boost 30 to 60 hertz. Now, after doing this, control the low end with a multi-band compressor on your drum and your bass bus, or the mix bus, to keep things tight. This helps to glue the kick and the bass together in the sub range. The result here is a low end now that translates on any playback system, because each element has its own space to shine. Number 3 is to use saturation. Now, saturation was something that I didn't use much because I didn't really understand what it can do for the elements in my mix. But once I started using FabFilter Saturn, I realized just how essential it really was. Now, saturation adds more energy because of the harmonics that are added. This fills out and adds density to the tracks that sound thin, and it could add weight and sparkle to a track. For vocals in particular, though, saturation tends to bring them front and center and on top of the beat. It's like compressing the signal and EQing it at the same time, enhancing certain frequencies and adding harmonics. Subtle tube or tape saturation can give a low end bump without using any EQ. It adds perceived loudness by adding more energy to the signal without affecting the peak value. I also use saturation now as the main thing to give my drums that crunch that you hear so often coming out of FL Studio. Even though that sound is generally credited to the soft clipper, I get that crunch and distortion more heavily from saturation, then driving that signal into a soft clipper in multiple stages within the mix. I have a fantastic video now showing my #1 plugin to get me that type of sound linked in the description. Definitely check it out if you want not only to distort your drums with that FL Studio type of sound, but also to increase the LUFS rating of your mix by using that plugin to increase the perceived loudness of your drums significantly. So check it out. Link is in the description. Continue watching this video first. Click on that link after. Number 4 is parallel processing. Now, parallel processing involves blending a processed signal with the original unprocessed signal. This allows you to add effects like compression, EQ, or saturation without completely altering the natural character of the sound. It's a versatile technique that could add depth, punch, and clarity to your mix. Now, one of the most common uses of parallel processing is parallel compression. It's so effective because you can maintain the natural dynamics of the original track while adding punch and sustain. This can make your drums hit harder and your vocals cut through the mix without sounding overly compressed. And this adds that energy and excitement to your tracks that you can't get on the track, processing on the track by itself. You gotta have this parallel processing chain to really make that difference. And also check out the video on the type of parallel compression plugin that I use, which significantly decreases the setup time and sounds incredible on pretty much anything. Link for that is in the description as well. Now, parallel EQ is another incredible parallel processing technique. On the parallel track, check this out. Use a high pass filter so you're only affecting the mid-range and the high end. Follow that up with a harmonic exciter. Blending that in with the original signal gives you a crispy openness to the track, making darker and duller mics like a Shure SM7B or budget condenser mics with harsh, top ends that don't reproduce the high end very well. It makes them sound smoother. So if you kind of reduce the high end a little bit, like with a high shelf on the original track, and then you send that to an aux track, and then you do that processing that I just mentioned, and then you add some of that harmonic excitement, it kind of like adds its own top end from the mid-range that is a lot more pleasing sounding than the top end that's not really accurately reproduced in these lower end, more budget microphones. Now, you can add parallel processing to anything with any plugins. The goal here is to retain the original sound of the track and blend in an over-processed signal to taste, to get a sound, like I said, that you cannot, or it's harder to get that sound on the track itself. Processing it in parallel gives you a lot more flexibility to fine-tune and get what you're looking for, whether it's brightness from an EQ or saturation or a more squashed, overly processed compression. You're retaining the original signal and you're adding this ultra processed signal into taste to just give you that edge. So there you have it. I'm a better mixer today because of these 4 techniques. I use them on every mix, and they're common amongst most mix engineers. These are not, techniques that are so far out there. These are techniques that are used on pretty much any mix that you hear today. If you've never experimented with them, do yourself a favor and try them out on your next mix. Also, if you're looking for some beats to elevate your projects, check out my beat store linked in the description, daxhammer.com. I have a wide range of beats, an ever-growing catalog available from exclusive rights and leases, and I'm sure you'll find something that fits your style. So definitely check that out, daxhammer.com, link in the description. All the other videos, like I said, are there as well. So thanks for watching, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more mixing tutorials and techniques just like this. And until the next video, my name is Dax Hammer, and may God bless you.